Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya, and here we bring you all the details of India's fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Be it the technological aspects, specifically the way solutions are being found for all the challenges which are being thrown at us by this particular crisis, and also the work done by all our COVID warriors, starting from the health workers to others on the ground as well. Today, we're going to take up a very interesting technological aspect, and that is the use of artificial intelligence in fighting COVID-19 pandemic. And not only in tackling the challenges, but also we will try and find out as to how AI might change the way we do our daily routine things, perhaps, or maybe the healthcare sector as well in the post-COVID scenario as well. And for this, we're joined by three important guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Subram Natarajan. He is the Chief Technology Officer with IBM India. We also have with us Dr. Hemant Darbari. He is the Director General of CDAC Pune. And Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee, the digital technology expert, somebody who writes a lot on AI and future technology. So let me begin the show, and let's begin with Dr. Darbari here. Dr. Darbari, the way in which we have faced the challenges so far in the past 2 to 3 months, that is specifically with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic, how much of role has been played by artificial intelligence in that particular fight?
See, three things have come up. One, that the data becomes very important, and data is huge. So since the data is huge, we have to find out methods and methodologies to handle that, analyze that, and give some meaningful solutions out of it. So data becomes the prime. Then comes the technology part, wherein we have artificial intelligence, where deep learning, machine learning, and these type of things are required to be used for various solutions to be provided. And the third one is the supercomputing. Because of the fact the data size is large, the big data analytics is to be done, and the AI algorithms to be applied, we have to have large supercomputing, which is a need of the hour. So for this purpose, CDAC has launched a program called Samvar COVID-19, which actually expands into supercomputing using AI/ML, healthcare analytics-based research for combating COVID-19. So various things have been done around that. And the major player in this area is the imaging part. So what exactly we want to do is analyze the images, and because the testing is very, very costly affair. If we can do a pre-tests through our imaging part, that can be one big acceleration into the whole process.
Okay.
Second thing is the drug discovery. Again, drug discovery is a long-drawn process of 20, 30 years. But if we can do the drug repurposing, and we can use the data set which is already available, FDA-approved data set is available, then we can discover the drugs much faster. And then becomes the surveillance part. So all three areas are generally backed up very effectively by AI, the supercomputing, and the analytics part.
Okay, and definitely data is the soul here as far as the work being done specifically in diagnostic treatment and other precautionary measures to be taken. Let me bring in Subram Natarajan here. Subram, if the way we look at things in terms of the utilization of artificial intelligence, there was progress which was made prior to COVID-19 pandemic situation as well. But during this period, we seem to have realized the kind of potential which is there in utilizing AI technologies in our, not only the challenges which we faced during COVID-19, but also in our daily life. And then one of the aspects in your company has been involved with ICMR, known as your program Watson.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, that's a good question. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, this whole pandemic has changed our way of functioning, both professionally as well as personally. It has affected profoundly. At IBM, we have been working with many of the solutions. It falls in three categories, right? Number one, more to do with how do you engage the citizens as well as the rest of the people to really make sure that the necessary information goes out. And the example that you gave about Indian Council of Medical Research, where IBM collaborated with them to implement Watson virtual agent. It's essentially almost like a assistant, which gives the capability for answering COVID-related questions to the frontline staff, right? And it is integrated in their portal. This is one form of doing it. And similar example I could give with the government of Andhra Pradesh, where such kind of Watson assistant getting embedded into their mainstream communication system is there. What it does is it allows you to provide a single source of truth to all of the people that you need to really fall in line and really take the necessary action in the field. The second is something similar to what was mentioned earlier with respect to supercomputing. Mm-hmm. So, IBM, in collaboration with the US Department of Energy, the high performance computing consortium got launched. And the main idea is to really find a way or help the scientists to fight the coronavirus with tools that will allow them to simulate the drug molecules, to simulate. These are all hard problems to solve. And therefore, supercomputers provide them the necessary capability, compute power to visualize this much earlier. So, similar to that, globally, we have opened up many of our patented technologies related to this area for our scientists to really pick up and start building possible cure for coronavirus, right? So both in terms, and again, all of these in the areas of artificial intelligence, both on the supercomputer, executing the necessary algorithms. On the other end of the spectrum, you have these ICMR, Watson Assistant-based solutions, which is more engagement related, right? Artificial intelligence, which understands talking to human beings and engaging them in answering the right kind of things, right? So, few things that are going on, very exciting in IBM. Same thing with respect to the cloud-based AI research service, and we have ingested a corpus of thousands of papers on COVID into our open research data set. And this has actually become, licensed databases for DrugBank, clinicaltrials.gov, and GenBank, and so it's a source of information. Using AI, they could kind of sieve through the information and get the necessary information and inferences that they want. So IBM is doing a lot of work in these areas.
Okay. We'll come to the other aspects as well, but let me first bring in Subimal here. Subimal, what's your perspective on the way we've utilized artificial intelligence so far in our battle against COVID-19?
Thank you, Vishal. I think everything is quite clear by now after almost 2 months of battling the disease in this country. And as you have seen, ever since the Empowered Group 9, which is primarily looking at data and technology, has taken over the role. And of course, the experience with Arogya Setu, which itself was tracking and tracing app that generated all kinds of interest, and with more than 11.5 crore people already downloading and using it to their benefit, but also giving an opportunity where AI technology has been able to pick up some patterns which has helped in the mitigation efforts that we are doing. Mm-hmm. Then on top of it, to be even more clearer, you would have seen a lot of the robots going around in so many hospitals delivering stuff. Now possibly we would have thought that this is possible, but we couldn't believe or maybe even estimate that something like this could have been happening in this short span of time in so many of these hospitals. So what I want to say is that the impact of technology, specifically around artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, all of these things have been really a focus of the big as well as the small entities that have been, trying to harness technology to see how much, we can optimize our delivery efforts in mitigation. And then, of course, go to the other areas, even in the, drug or the vaccine-related trials and all other kinds of, efforts where you are basically, sifting through, data sets that have been there, which you have basically, everyone's now motto is to squeeze the time, to squeeze through the processes if possible. And that's where AI has been really good. And even in this country, we have not stayed behind in the as far as the vaccine or drug related research is concerned. So I think we are already applying, in a very optimal way, whatever is there in front of us. So besides that, there are so many other entities that are talking and helping in their own ways to see how we are now managing the situation, how we are helping in the mitigation, and then, of course, to look forward to a post-COVID kind of a scenario where we now all understand, or we now are getting more tuned to the fact that more and more technology is going to imbibe in our lifestyles, in our work styles and everything. That's where AI, machine learning, deep learning is going to go a big way. So in a way, it is also orienting a lot of us Indians who might not be necessarily very technology focused, but even in our own imbibation of these technologies, we are possibly moving a step forward in a digital society evolution.
Okay, and there are endless possibilities, as all of you are pointing out. Let me go on that aspect to Dr. Darbari here. Dr. Darbari, artificial intelligence or the application of various technologies, there are numerous combinations, permutations, endless possibilities, as Mr. Bhattacharjee was also pointing out. The more we go deeper into it, the more we try and get more answers and perhaps more questions as well. So in terms of what we have done so far, one, has that been enough? And two, what more needs to be done from here onwards? And it's not only about COVID-19 or a particular pandemic, it's about making use of future technology.
Yes. Absolutely. I think the point which is coming up is that these technologies which were already existing, we are applying them into the current scenario, which is very, very difficult to work on. Now, I'll take again the example of the drug discovery. Drug discovery, when we have tried out 2,500 drugs, we came out with 6 molecules, which were showing very positive results. And you will be happy to know that this drug, which is remdesivir drug, which has been identified as one of the clinical trials are on, we logged in on that drug first. Then we also extended this thing, so 2 more drugs came up, and they are also very close to which can be tried out by the CSIR has been taking it to the next level. So in the PSA's office, we have good discussions on this and try to see how these things can be taken to the people. So one, that this exercise has given us accelerated path, because all these things have done in just about 3 to 4 weeks. Earlier, these projects, if you see, they would have taken years or 2 years or 3 years, and a long drawn process and procedures to be followed for getting even the approval of the project. But now everybody got on it and got the results. So this is one plus side of the story. Now, if we can reduce the time and we start using them, now we are also trying out that how Ayurveda can be brought into the same picture and see what type of simulations we can do and see how this can be effectively administered and real data can be created rather than we believe that this thing will work. Okay. So from the belief, we have come to sciences, and an accelerated part has come up, and we have delivered a lot of science out of it.
Okay, from belief to science and practical purposes there as well. Let me bring in Mr. Natarajan. Mr. Natarajan, health sector is one particular sector wherein obviously most of the focus has been during this particular crisis on utilization of AI technology. But yes, you spoke about others as well in terms of engagement with the general public at large. From here onwards, how do you see, the use of AI technology or other aspects of it, machine learning, in not only in health sector but other aspects of our life as well?
Yeah, I mean, so again, a good question, Vishal. See, I think first of all, we all need to understand that this is going to be the new normal, right? To some degree, that is, definition of new normal itself is evolving. As they go by, there are plenty of changes that is happening, and therefore it is fast evolving, right? And AI will play a great role in really in establishing, as we exit out of the situation, into what I define as a new normal, right? We will witness an increasing level of AI in all walks of our life, be professional, personal, and stuff. Given any organization, we need to make sure that the solutions or whatever we are providing to our customers in terms of services and products, whether it is a large enterprise or small and medium enterprises, the exit strategy should focus on really how do you enhance the IT operations? How do you build solutions that will immunize them from future disruptions, a similar disruption, essentially future-proofing, and more specifically, strategize around specific areas of operate from anywhere. Many of us have realized that working from home has become a big, a new normal now, right? IBM is one of the first companies. Close to about 98% of the population works from home world over. So operate from anywhere is going to be the new normal, and therefore definition of cloud computing, automation being part of that, including AI-driven solutions, will provide the agility and efficiency for delivering the digital services. The second is how do you fortify your business continuity? This COVID made people realize that businesses can be disrupted, right? Streamlining IT recovery and building resiliency requires orchestration and intelligent workflows, which is where the AI comes in, right? Leveraging AI for IT operations is not only reducing the outage windows, but it helps in reliable way of achieving the 24/7 availability. And the next one I want to talk about is the security part, right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly I was about to bring you in because this becomes more interesting. More and more we discover the layers and layers of artificial intelligence. The more we get engrossed in that. But then the concern here for the businesses as well as the individuals and the governments also will be the cyber safety and the cyber security aspect. So how do we tackle that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if nothing, this has increased the surface area of attack, right? By allowing people to work from home, you automatically start really exposing the surface area to many of the people, and especially programmatic hackers and so on. What we have observed, and IBM has this X-Force, which kind of monitors the hacking activities going on in the world. More than 2,000 times, the traffic of hacking has increased post-COVID era. So this is not any simple number by any means, right? So as organizations continue to deal with remote workforce, the security paradigm has shifted from more, intranet to internet. It's outside the boundary walls of the four data centers that you talk about. Here, AI plays a pivotal role in helping, organizations to get ahead of the threats, building AI-driven defense, apart from endpoint protection and identity management and so on, right? So this is the security, cyber security, and enhancing cyber security is essentially allowing the remote workforce to get empowered in really being far more creative without the hindrance of, am I doing something right? Am I secure in a secure environment and so on? And last but not least, and Dr. Darbari also touched upon this, while we are trying to find solution for this coronavirus using supercomputers and so on. One, we should not forget that, depending on the domain of the organization, not only on the healthcare, different organizations tend to use AI for innovation as well, products and services. Simple things like you see organizations really adapting themselves to really, customized face masks is a great, new fad that has come up, right? And I'm simplifying it, of course. Larger companies and SMEs can really use AI for innovating their business models as well, not from a simplistic way, but more in a complex way as it relates to COVID also.
Okay, and that's a very interesting aspect. I'd like to bring in Mr. Subimal here on these two, specific points, Mr. Subimal. One, the post-COVID scenario for the application of artificial intelligence or the AI tools, and two, the security aspect, as Mr. Natarajan was pointing out.
Yeah, Vishal, I think one of the most important aspect would be that, in a large country like India, of course, in the mitigation part, if you look at it and the way going forward, because we have to live with the disease and look at that. Yesterday, we tested 116,000 sample. We have 930 COVID dedicated hospitals. We have a few lakhs of beds. Now, all of that management, all of that taking it to a dashboard kind of a situation, going to Delhi in the health minister's desk, going up to the National Security Council. Now, all of that is requiring a lot of computing power. And I think, this practice that has come up, even in the delivery of, health governance, I could say, I think this is something that has to be harnessed even more, because now with this and with almost everyone in the health scenario across the country in a digital spot, or whatever you can say, or a digital hotspot, there are a lot of opportunities for improvement and getting into and finding out the shortcomings. I go to a lot of remote places of Assam. I know the gaps in the hospitals. Now, can we use these also to expand further and plug many of these gaps? Because then we are going to move towards a delivery of a health system that reaches to far much more. Secondly, if you see, we also have a big social responsibility in, giving out a lot of the social benefit and many of the schemes that are running in the country. Already they are being given, based on Aadhaar and, a method of distribution, tech-based. But I think there is a lot of AI work that goes on further in this period, and particularly around COVID and all, because there would be a few more benefits that has to be given. You can see everything around the country where a lot of people are still in a very distressed stage, and we'll have to address them. So I think this is an opportunity again to use these to reach the larger mass.
Okay.
Along with that, even in the next few months and possibly, even going to a year, you are needing to really monitor each and every aspect of what's going on in terms of your bed management, ICU management, so many of these things. So I think the more and more, optimal solutions that we are able to come out with, some of the best minds of the world that either our, government bodies are investing in, or, giants like IBM and others, I think these are something that we'll have to put forward. So the journey has begun, I would think, to, improve a lot on our health and other social delivery systems. And at the same time, it's also pulling all of us more towards a kind of more of a digital, enhanced digital citizenship roles, because there we are, going to be far much more adapting to many of these technologies, however much 6 months, 18 months back we would have tried to stay away from. Work from home is one aspect, but look at the way we are trying to reach out, even in terms of education delivery. We are far, far away from any optimal situation in that. But
Definitely.
We'll have to think how we reach out to the larger masses in the country.
Definitely. All of us are stakeholders out there. Before we bring this to an end, each small concluding comments from both Mr. Natarajan and Dr. Darbari here, in terms of what we might expect as, general public. What can they expect in terms of use of artificial intelligence in our daily lives in a post-COVID scenario from here onwards? Mr. Natarajan?
Okay, I'll go first. There's definitely going to be an increasing use of AI in every walks of life, right? Whether it is just, as I was mentioning about the engagement systems, wherever the citizen services are being delivered, or even in the private sector where there is an engagement with multiple stakeholders are involved, artificial intelligence will come in. It's going to be part of our life, whether it is going to be in our mobile phone or the way we interact with kiosks and other means. It's going to be part of our life. That is definitely one that you will see. And there's going to be an increasing focus on how people will really look at assuming or assimilating these set of information in a secure way, right? There's going to be sort of AI-driven security, which gives them a far more accurate sense of how we operate in wherever we are operating in. That will also become part of our day-to-day life. So, I mean, this is as far as personal thing is concerned. And of course, as I was explaining earlier, for corporates and SMEs, this is going to change their way that they look at, right? Whether it's adoption of cloud computing, AI, or security, they have to start modifying their entire frameworks to to the new paradigm.
Okay, Dr. Darbari?
Yeah, I think as you touched upon to the security side, AI for security and security for AI, both the things are going to play hand in hand. And lots of work is required to be done in that particular area because of the fact that AI is coming up in a big way. The things have to be very carefully thought of, and we want to take the things very, very effectively and efficiently. So like in our case, even current case, the post-COVID scenario, what will happen? A lot of surveillance and identification of various things will be required to be done. Because even with the mask on, earlier itself the face recognition was a problem. With the mask on, it becomes much more difficult to identify. Then a lot of solutions can be brought around that. Many of the multilingual thing will come up in a big way. Speech is coming up and we are moving toward the speech-to-speech translation system. So all these things will come and play a very, very major role because if you are in some other state in India or abroad, then the communication becomes very important and AI plays a very, very, very important role in going into the translation side, the machine translation or a speech-to-speech translation. These things will become a reality because now you are really moving very close to the human being. And I like to end on stating that in AI, since beginning, there were two schools of thought. When one was simulating the expert, and that's how the expert systems came in. And then the second one was simulating the human being, and wherein the neural network came in. So that right now we are into the neural net area, and we're trying to go as close as possible to a human being. So I think wish that some of these things will come true. And we try to see that these things can be very effectively used. Thank you.
Definitely. This will be very, very interesting there as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Darbari, Mr. Natarajan, and Mr. Bhattacharjee there as well for sharing your views on this topic. So as our panelists have pointed out very clearly, it is a whole new dynamic world of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and future technologies out there. And these have helped us tide over some of the challenges during COVID-19 pandemic, but it is not yet over. We have several new aspects which are yet to be discovered, and perhaps in a post-COVID scenario, AI will be playing a much larger, much bigger role in our daily lives as well. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television and keep following all the social distancing norms and guidelines. Stay safe.